Hey guys, welcome back. This is Library of Orthonk, LOTR TCG, back with another all-foil deck video. Please like, subscribe to our channel. And today we're going to cover another expanded deck. This time we're going to cover a shadow side. And this is what I think is probably the most interesting and unique, but still very tier 1 good shadow, and that is the Sudden Strike Gollum shadow. So Sudden Strike is the namesake card, but we'll go ahead and go through the deck and kind of show you how it works. So this is good to pair with those larger decks. So Ultimate Madrill, Powerful Guide, both of those have a variant of this shadow paired with them. So let me start off with our Gollum. So first we have Gollum, her Sneak. So the trick with this is when a card titled Deagle is removed from the game, Gollum is Strength +2 and Fierce. So he's a 7 power and he's Fierce. And how you get him is remove a card titled Deagle in your discard pile from the game to play this minion from your discard pile. So you're going to have to search him out once, but then once he's out, he goes back to the discard pile. And then every time you remove a card entitled Deagle from your discard pile, you get to replay him. So it's kind of like, you search him out with, and you'll see this in a moment. You play a Captured by the Ring. You search your deck for a Gollum, her Sneak. It goes through the first time. It goes to the discard pile. Then on your Free People's side, you utilized a Deagle to pull out a possession. He goes to the discard pile. Then what you basically do on your next shadow side is you activate this shadow ability from the graveyard, which says remove a card, discard pile, remove a card titled Deagle from your discard pile from the game. So you take that out, and then you play that from your discard pile. So that's the interaction of how this guy works. In addition to that, we have the Old Villain. He's in there for cycling. This is the one where you can just willfully discard a card, any number of cards. So those are our two Gollums. Then, as I just showed you, we do play a full play set of Captured by the Rings. That's absolutely essential. And always remember, when you play this, add your threat when you play it, but then that lets you get any Gollum out of your deck or discard pile. So that really makes sure these guys keep running no matter what is full play set of the Captured by the Ring. Then we get to the namesake card, which is the Sudden Strike. So we play a full play set of this. So this is very important to know exactly how this works. So you have to spot Gollum or Smeagol to play this, to play a minion from your draw deck. So what this does is this gets any minion. You have to spot Gollum to play it, but then you can get any minion. No restrictions whatsoever, any minion from any culture. And that's how this works, is you've got 4 copies of this, which lets you essentially tutor any minion, and you play a bunch of one-of minions for whatever situation is appropriate that you face. Important part too is if the minion is a Golem minion, you may also play a shadow position or shadow condition from your deck. So primarily what that's going to mean is you're probably not going to usually use this to play a Gollum minion, other than one time certainly you're probably going to pull up a Shelob, who obviously is a Gollum minion. So one time you're going to pull a Shelob, and when you do pull that Shelob, you're going to pull a web with it. So that is probably your most potent pull with a Sudden Strike, and that all is very nicely themed together. The Sudden Strike for the Shelob and the web, because web is a possession, and that qualifies under this. And then basically the web is down there, and then you can recur your Shelobs and your Gollums off of your web. So that's a huge interaction there. Otherwise, you're just looking to pull whatever minion. You can use this to pull a Nazgul. You can use this to pull whatever random thing you need at the time. And that's really how the deck works then, is through this Sudden Strike, getting whatever the most potent minion is for you. And then 4 copies of the Evil Smelling Fens to keep getting that minion out of the discard pile. So, just using like the most basic example, let's say that your opponent is vulnerable to an Enquëa. So what you do is you sudden strike for an Enquëa from your draw deck, pull that out, and then obviously that goes to the discard pile. Then what you do is you play an Evil Smelling Fens, and you exert your Gollum twice, you discard this, and you get back your Enquëa. So the 4 copies of Evil Smelling Fens will allow you to recur all the minions that you pulled from Sudden Strike, or just minions that naturally came into your hand and went into your discard pile. So the full play set of those is fantastic and really supports the strategy of reusing your minions. So 4 Sudden Strikes, 4 Evil Smelling Fens is really the core of the deck, in addition to that, just the package to get Gollum out that we already saw with the Gollums and the Deagulls and the Captured by the Rings, all of that. So I think that, oh no, one more card. There's one more card left in our Golem package, and that is, we just played 2 copies of Led Astray. And again, this in Expanded, it's vital to manipulate the site path, and so this actually lets you exchange one of your sites on the site path with another site from your adventure deck. So this allows you to really do some heavy manipulation and get back sites that you've already played. So that is the end of our Gollum faction. Now we have a very nice Nazgul contingent, because Nazgul are a lot of times the good minions to pull. I was just showing you with the Enquëa. So we do have 2 copies of Enquëa in this deck. Again, this is just an absolute staple card of the Lord of the Rings TCG. Just beautiful, great card, and absolute staple of all formats. So that's if your opponent goes over 6 companions, you punish them with Enquëa. I think everyone knows that at this point. In addition, we've got 1 copy of the Morgul King. This guy is super sweet in this deck because you just play 1 copy, but if you have a threat down, remove which you do through Captured by the Ring, remove a threat to take any Wraith card from your discard pile into your hand. So this is just fantastic for just to, again, select back any Wraith you need, kind of like Evil Smelling Fens effect to get any Wraith card back. Then we have Cantëa, Faster Than the Winds. And again, it's just 1 copy of the Witch King, 1 copy of the Cantëa. This guy is a nice threat adder, and then also can spot another Wraith minion to discard a possession. So he's threat adder / possession discard. We do have 1 of the other Enquëa in here too, just because if we want to get exertions down, sometimes the first Enquëa people are going to be aware of, but this one, again, if they go up to 6, exert each companion. So it says, when you play Úlairë Enquëa, if you can spot 2 other Nazgul, you may exert 2 unbound companions, or exert each companion if you can spot 6. So this is another, I'd say, similar effect, but rather than concentrating the wounds all on 1 companion, Enquëa, if they have 6, this Enquëa will put 1 exertion on each companion. So that's that guy. Then we have Lemenya, another nice threat adder, where if you see your opponent goes up to a lot of cultures, you can add a threat for each culture that you can spot. So that's always going to add a couple, but then, depending on what they do, can even add more. So you got 1 copy of that. Then we've got a copy of Nelya. Again, more site manipulation here, just making sure that we can replace the current site with the site from our adventure deck. So that's a very nice nice card there. And that's really useful to recur if you're playing it, the Buckland Homestead site that discards conditions when you play a Nazgul. And lastly, this guy, if you need to know about this if you play Expanded. So this is Nertëa from Age's End. This is very broken. So it says, when you play Úlairë Nertëa, name a race. The Free People's player cannot assign Nertëa to skirmish a companion of the named race. So what that means is a lot of times this can just go unassigned, because if your opponent has all characters of the same race, they literally cannot assign this to anyone. And then you can just double assign him on whomever you want, or assign him on to the ring bearer. And even then, let's say your opponent plays a Shire ring bearer, but all other companions of a different race. Well, even then, you can just go straight on to the ring bearer, because you cannot, you can just pick the race that they're playing. If they're playing Gondor, you just say, well, can't assign this to a Gondor, and then their only choice is to put on the Ring Bearer. So so this guy is just stupid. I mean, it should have been, this is errated through the PC, but it is not errated through Decipher. So when you're playing Expanded, this plays exactly as printed, which basically can result in some very unfair skirmishing situations. And if your opponent's deck is vulnerable to that, you want to just keep running these at him over and over. Then we have Úlairë Toldëa. Again, get back a Wraith event, and you'll see in a moment what that is. And Bill Ferny, just again, can dogpile Bill Ferny onto another minion on, similar effect with Nertëa, where you can put him on another person. And obviously he would combo well with Nertëa too. Then our last of the minions is 3 copies of Morgul Squealer. Again, very similar to like an Evil Smelling Fens effect. Discard this minion to play a Wraith minion from your discard pile. So again, you see there's just massive amounts of recursion here with the Evil Smelling Fens, with the Witch King. Because your Nazgul are some of your strongest minions. You just keep playing the right ones over and over. And here is our event. If you play Expanded, you know Gandalf is incredibly strong. So we're running 3 copies of Too Great and Terrible. So this is the event that just punishes Gandalf. All you have to do is spot a Nazgul and you get to wound Gandalf twice. So again, if you can recur this either through, again, Witch King can recur that because it does just say a Wraith card. And then, of course, the Toldëa that we just looked at, since it says Wraith event, can also recur that as well. So you recur something to recur one of those 2 characters, and then those characters recur this event. So it's pretty easy to draw into one of these and take out a Gandalf. So that is our Wraith minion contingent. Now our next package is really a Saruman's Power package. And so the goal here is to get a Grima down, generally for the purpose of playing Saruman's Power, but you can also play you can use his own ability if that becomes relevant. Because his ability can be very strong if someone has too much stuff on a single companion. Exert him to spot an unbound companion bearing 3 or more cards to return that Free People's Companion and each card that bears to its owner's hand. So, you spot the companion, you only return the cards, not the companion. So it basically just takes away all the weapons and possessions right back to that person's hand. So that is controls excessive possessions. So that's what this one does. We got 2 copies of that. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this. It literally looks like there's a blue pen mark on Grima's head. Looks black in the camera, but that is blue on the card. So there's obviously some sort of ink defect here that causes these cards. I don't know if anyone has one of these that doesn't have that defect, but both of my Grimas have that blue ink pen defect right in the same spot. But either way, so fantastic card, Grima Wormtongue. I think most people know that one. And then the other Grima that we play is we play a couple copies of Servant of Another Master. This is incredibly expensive. Remove 4 to activate this ability, but that's one of the only ways I know of in the game to prevent a companion from using special abilities. So you can actually drop Grima down and prevent a companion from using special abilities. So this would be like if you're facing off against Gandalf Wise Guide and he's going to cancel your Saruman's Power, you play Grima and cancel Gandalf so that Gandalf can't cancel your Saruman's Power. That's my guess is primarily what that's for, but you could also use it to stop any special ability if you wanted to pay 4 for that. And then obviously the key thing with Saruman's Power, we do play a full play set just because this is such a large deck. You're not going to need to be playing this 4 times, but you're just going to need to be able to find one, and there's no way to get this out other than just drawing it natively. So we do play a full 4 copies of that. And again, the effect here is exert a Isengard minion to discard all conditions. So that's what we're going to be doing here, is playing this and just cleaning up the Fellowship board of conditions, because there are a number of decks which rely on having an array of conditions, and if you can resolve this and clean off all their conditions, that's just going to be huge. So the basic package there is the 4 Grimas and the 4 Saruman's powers. Then we have our miscellaneous minions. So the first of those is the Southron Leader. We do run 3 of this. What this does is if your opponent ever goes up to 4 cultures, it just absolutely crucifies them, because you can remove a threat, which you could have a number of, or you can exert this guy and it's just wound a companion. So you can just assess a ton of wounds. Like if there's, 4 threats, this guy plus the 4 threats, you get like 6 wounds down on someone. And then the last one or last couple you can actually kill companions with, because it's wound, not exert. Just make sure that if you're using this, you don't like use your first wound to put them down to 3 cultures. Make sure that the condition of them being able to spot 4 cultures remains true. So there's a little strategy of the order of how you do this, but basically it just crucifies any fellowship that goes up to 4 cultures. So we don't run 3 of those. Then always fun to see some of these big minions. Sauron, the Lord of the Rings. Just a fantastic, huge card. If you get enough Twilight to be able to put this down, this thing will usually just, take out 2 people because of how big and dumb and powerful it is. So we've got that. Similar effect here. We've got our Balrog, Demon of Might. Again, this is the one from Age's End that's just busted. That's damage +2. And it says skip the archery phase and the maneuver phase, and he cannot be assigned to skirmish companions of strength 6 or less. So that's a very strong Balrog. Pretty light. Oh, there we go. I wasn't being able to catch the foiling there, but it's a lighter foiling on the back there. Then another nice minion from the final set is Gothmog, the Morgul Leader. This was kind of lazy. They totally reused the exact image from the previous Gothmog and then just rebordered him on the new Orc affiliation. But his effect is each the Fellowship and the Minion Archery total are +3. So every time you drop this guy down, your opponent takes 3 archery wounds, which is absurd. You won't be able to use this latter ability because you don't play other Orc minions. So he's in there just for the +3/+3. But what I will tell you, important interaction to know about is this guy plus Shelob. Like I said, you're almost always going to have access to a Shelob, and Shelob is enduring. So usually when you have to eat these 3 archery, that's kind of a bad thing. But if you've got a minion who has 8 vitality and is enduring, all you're doing is taking those 3 wounds, throwing them straight onto Shelob, and then adding 6 to his power. So then Shelob becomes a 14 power fierce, because Gothmog actually gets to, again, since it's just letting the Fellowship have a +3 archery total, you get to assign where the wounds go on the minions. You assign all of them onto Shelob. So that's a nice combo to be aware of. Then if you want more directed wounding, you have the Mumak commander, so that you can exert him twice to exert a companion twice. So that's in there just to get the direct wounds onto a single person if you need to. Like again, if you're trying to take off a Gandalf, for example, you exert him and get 2 wounds on that Gandalf, and then finish him off with those Nazgul. Mauhur is really good for smaller companions. So he's fierce and he's Hunter 1. So he's roughly going to be a 9 power, meaning, any smaller companions. His effect here is exert Mauhur to assign him to a non-hunter character, except the ring bearer. So you can't go and crucify the ring bearer, but you can basically go on any hobbit and just mop them up with Mauhur, because you get to choose who he skirmishes. So that's, again, just to go in there, and if there's someone on the sidelines that's causing you troubles, you go in and mop them up. This is fantastic for expanded. Again, you see this looks like a whole mess of minions where you're literally like, this is literally like the most rainbow shadow you've ever seen. If you want to look at like what I'm setting aside over here, it's literally like every culture. But that's what this shadow does. last minion here is the Dunlending Ravager. He just costs 1, but he's fantastic because he just pokes off an ally. So like if you need to kill your opponent's Barlaman, you know, assignment, spot an ally to make that ally participate in skirmishes and assign this minion to skirmish that ally. What that'll do is it'll actually get Barlaman into the dead pile, so there's no recurring of him, because when you skirmish him and kill him, he becomes a dead ally. And can't be replayed even if they have more copies. So that is in there just to take out allies. Particularly the small ones. Obviously this guy is small himself. He's not going to be able to take out an Elrond or anything like that. Then lastly, just a very versatile, we have the only shadow follower in the game, Saruman, the Servant of Sauron. Just love this card. Unfortunately, no way to pull this because it's a follower. You know, you can't use Sudden Strike or anything to get this out, but it's just a great value because it's just each time bearer wins a skirmish, you may exert a companion. And once you get it out, it just stays on the sidelines. So again, you know, you have that with something like a Shelob, or even something as simple as an Enquëa that's a fierce minion. You know, you get 2 extra exertions when you have this on a fierce minion, and it's each time bearer wins a skirmish, you may exert a companion, meaning you get to choose where those exertions go. So this card is just incredibly overpowered. And our last card is kind of an anti-Madril tech, as I mentioned in the Madril video. The Ships of Great Draught, again, its effect is just remove a threat. And that's really all it's in here, is to stop your opponent from having threats if you don't want them to. Now, again, most of the time you want threats and you want to use them for your cards, but if you're up against Madril, you'd rather just have no threats whatsoever. And this, you can just remove a threat to do, you know, stack some tokens here, which are going to be utterly useless to you, but you can just remove as many threats as you want. And again, the thing to remember about this, we play, I don't believe, any other shadow possessions other than the web. If you remember your Sudden Strike says play a shadow possession or condition from your draw deck. So you can get the Ships of Great Draught out when you're playing a Shelob or a Gollum off of this. So you'd have to get a Shelob or a Gollum, but if you do choose to get a Shelob or a Gollum, that's the path with which width to access your Ships of Great Draught. Sorry, that was a bit of a sidetrack, but that's a really weird random card that you might look at and say, why the heck is that in here? I don't have any Raider minions other than the Southron Leader. So I should say that would be a way to get him recurred as well. But again, you've already got 3 of those, so probably not needing more than that, more recursion on that. So that is the deck, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me give you just a couple site path interactions just to show you, again, a couple of the sites that are relevant to Shadow. Necrobreakers can be relevant if your opponent has the burdens and you're actually using this to exert them. So that's important to know to get exertions down. Steward's Tomb is huge to play on their sanctuary so that they can't heal. Saranian Ruins, just if you need more Twilight. Mount Doom if you need to fix the site path. Cavern Entrance if you need to cancel skirmish special abilities they might be using. And the Bridge to play your Balrog cheaper. So those are, you know, just a few shadow sites to be aware of, but again, mostly you're manipulating sites sometimes to your benefit, sometimes to the benefit of your shadow, but also sometimes to the benefit of your free peoples. So hopefully you enjoyed this deck tech. I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple cards out here just for our thumbnail of this deck. Like I said, this is just a fantastic fun deck. It's hard to even choose, I think, some of what minions are going to represent this deck. But here's a little sampling of what you might see when you face Gollum Sudden Strike. You might get Shelob, you might get Nertëa, you might get a Balrog, and maybe let's throw a Grima in here because he's pretty essential for the Saruman's power portion of the strategy. So I think that's a nice little thumbnail of who we might all be seeing when we play this deck. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. there is a variant of this deck that uses Corsairs. Let me know if that'd be interesting for you to see, and kind of talk about how this deck can synergize with the Corsair affiliation as well. But this one in particular was just the standard Sudden Strike Shadow that uses all cultures. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you're enjoying the expanded format. Please like and subscribe, and look forward to more videos. Thanks, guys.